Finally getting his turn with the Tuneup Treatment in addition to Rocktrans. It is the other member and one of the original models of the Rockman.exe collaboration. It is RME01 Fortate, REGRADED, with a kit of Destroy, Longshot, Press, Float Legs, and the leg ability of Popper, which grants a damage reduction upon meeting a certain Metaforce charge and maintaining it. Now, contrary to Rocktrans, who focuses more on all-round balance and versatility, Fortate instead chooses to focus on more on raw damage or punish damage in many cases, kind of fitting of his original motif and theme of the original virus and interloper essentially, or Voidwalker that Forte was in the series. Destroy is in his case is a shooting-based variant that simply used will instantly destroy a part if it targets a part that the opponent is going to use heat phase, has used cooldown phase, or will instantly destroy any shield that is currently active and that is not a meta-changed bot, so very good for shield busting. That being said, Fortate honestly is also off to a very good start with his intention on the field of guaranteeing punish damage more than anything else. Longshot is not necessarily a conventional, but very good shooting-based skill that when activated will actually scale its bonus damage relative to how far away the target is, in contrast to Rocktrans's Slash, who gets bonus damage relative to how close the target is. Also, in contrast to this, Longshot is also packing pierce damage, making it more conventional and more consistent in its overall damage. Left Arm of Press is good for heavy punish in this case, as a gravity attribute skill, which means that upon a certain Metaforce threshold, it will get a bonus to its success, but of course, it will be very good for heavy punish, which means anyone using 2 or more heavy parts, high damage, and very intense damage bonuses, 1 or none, not so much. Float Legs do also grant Fortate good coverage on all terrains very, very well, and the Popper ability, which grants him a damage reduction upon maintaining a certain Metaforce threshold, means that he's going to be a little tankier and harder to kill once that damage reduction does go into effect. And given that he is a float-based leg, he's already going to be packing some pretty well-rounded stats across the board, so Popper on top of that will make him even harder to kill in addition to this. Now with his Tuneup Treatment, Fortate honestly chose to take his already rather offense-based kit and make it even nastier with what he comes packed with. Head has access to plus 100 to Success, plus 200 to Heat and Cool respectively, plus 200 to Power, and 1 additional head use. Now normally with offense-based bots, for a head-based part, I would recommend capitalizing on the head use if applicable, but in Fortate's case, I'd say he honestly would better capitalize from the Heat and Cool bonus and the Success bonus. Why am I not going after Power, you ask? Because Destroy is a gambling-based part and a conditional-based one, so it honestly does not matter what Destroy's base power is, as it does not discriminate if you can correctly meet the requirement that it needs to instantly break parts. Right Arm of Longshot has access to plus 200 to Success, plus 200 to Power, and plus 200 each to Heat and Cool. Now, in many cases as well, Success is normally a bonus you generally can't ever go wrong with, and in some cases I'd say that the recommendations for Longshot can be kind of floating, as even though I do recommend Power and Heat and Cool just for the sake of having them, in some cases if you choose not to compound on Heat and Cool, you probably could go Power and Success instead, which will have a very equally as successful and as consistent form of damage and performance when fully upgraded. Left Arm of Press has access to plus 200 to Success, plus 200 to Power, and a Damage Plus, which gives a minus 20% reduction and requirement with the Metaforce charge in order to get the bonuses. So that being said, instead of having a 30% requirement upon being fully capped at 5-star, he will now only require a 10%, which is very, very easy to obtain. That being said, I would honestly recommend that charge reduction and the Power being the 2 bonuses that you go after for him. Alternatively, because it is a gravity attribute part, if you wanted to trade the Power and go with Success instead, that also is a very good option that you could consider, because gravity attribute gets higher success, which is of course higher chance of hits, higher chance of crits. Legs, as Float Legs, already have some really good stats across the board, and these honestly do make them just a little bit better too. His legs have access to plus 500 to Armor, plus 200 to Evade, plus 150 to Mobility, and Popper has an extra 20% additional damage reduction once the leg ability is activated. Now, It does go without saying that the leg ability of Popper is already very good at 20%. An additional 20%, no one's going to argue over. So once it's activated, Fortate is going to be even harder to kill at a 40% damage reduction once that ability is activated. So that naturally is definitely a go-to. Now with his other stats, I was close to giving it to mobility in this case, as that's usually a skill you really can't ever go wrong with wanting to cap on. Evade as well to a point, but honestly, I wouldn't want to recommend giving it to his armor instead, given that he can make use on the extra armor and the damage reduction to make him even harder to kill across the board. Now, revisiting his original pure set and mixed parts scores, I did originally grade Fortate at about an 8 across the board for both his pure set and his mixed parts for his well-rounded versatility and combinations and synergy as a one-man Punisher in this case, between Destroy for shield busting, Press for heavy punish, and of course Longshot mostly as a good punish for anyone that is far away from him. But including his higher end damage reduction and his bonuses to success or power, or heat and cool depending on how you choose to build him, I would honestly have to grade him a little higher at an 8.5 across the board and keep him moderately equal to where he was before, given that all three of his parts you can use pretty much anywhere very easily and with much versatility between Destroy and Press and Longshot, and of course Float Legs you generally can't ever go wrong with using, but with that additional damage reduction that Popper will offer, it kind of speaks for itself why you should use Fortate if you have him in your team.